So, Kamala Harris just lost the election to Donald Trump in a pretty shocking defeat to many people on the left and Democrats. And the response to it online has been very reminiscent of 2016 when Hillary Clinton lost the election to Trump. And so, just like in 2016, they tried to find a minority group who they could place all the blame on for why they lost the election. And for some reason, black men were getting a lot of blame on why Kamala Harris lost the election to Trump, even though almost like 80% of black men still voted for Kamala Harris, and like 1% of the total vote was black men for Trump. 1%. And then Latino men also got a lot of slander for this because like 50% of Latino men voted for Trump, which was found to be pretty ironic. But even then, only 2% of the total vote was Latino men for Trump. And so the reason why the Democrats lost the election wasn't because of minorities. It was because white people preferred Trump over Kamala Harris. And so another group that was getting a lot of blame placed on them was like Gen Z, specifically like Gen Z men, and more specifically like Gen Z white men. I think it was like 42% of like Gen Z voted for Trump this election, and like 50% of white Gen Z men voted for Trump. And for some reason, this came to a surprise to many people on the left, especially on like TikTok and Reddit. And it's like, why are you surprised that a lot of Gen Z men voted for Trump? Over the past like decade, and especially the last few years, there's been so much slandering of like young men on these social media apps that's kind of funny that you ever be surprised that they wouldn't want to vote for a Democratic nominee. That's, for example, like you bullying the quiet kid in school, right? For months on end, just relentlessly bullying him, giving him swirlies, giving him wedgies, shoving him in the lockers, right? Then one day, the quiet kid comes to school looking like the Reaper for Overwatch and shoots you first. And in the afterlife, you're like, what the heck? Why did he shoot me? I didn't do anything to him. You know how ironic that sounds? You know how crazy you sound when you say that? And so over the past 4 years, with the rise of apps like TikTok, which are heavily left-leaning, there's been a lot of pushing on women and minorities. And when I say minorities, I'm mainly talking about black people in things like college, the workplace, movies, and awards. And I understand historically why this might be needed, but in doing so, there's been a lot of downplaying of like young men's issues. And so when men complain that they are single as ever, as suicidal as ever, as lonely as ever, instead of these problems ever being acknowledged by people on the left, they instead ignore or say that these problems aren't that big of a deal because you're a white man and have so much privilege in this world. And guess what? When no one on the left wants to listen to them, who do you think they will turn to? People on the right. That is why Andrew Tate and the whole red pill space became so popular in such a short amount of time. Because they were willing to listen to young men's problems. They were the only people talking to young men, offering advice, not blaming them for everything. And side note, my personal opinion on the red pill community is a pretty poor one. I find most people in that space to be huge grifters who are just preying on men's insecurities to fill their pockets. I find a lot of that content is just bashing women instead of offering advice, and a lot of men don't end up actually improving themselves. But anyways, to be quite frank with you, social media is just an over-exaggeration of problems. Most Gen Z men who voted for Trump didn't vote for him because they are chronically online, and liberal women on TikTok were calling them incels. Truth be told, in my personal opinion and experience, most people in general, which includes Gen Z men, voted for Trump simply because of the economy. A Democrat is in office and the economy is bad, but if a Republican is in office, that means we'll all get $1 gas, cheaper groceries, and lower taxes. But I'm trying to push a narrative, and people saying that Gen Z men voted for Trump because of the economy doesn't make for an interesting video. I do think, though, some men did vote for Trump because they felt like Democrats weren't listening to their problems, just not a majority of them. I am a chronic liar. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and adios.